Hello, welcome back. I hope you guys are all well. Today we're going to be discussing personal style. I wasn't sure I wanted to make this video because we all know the personal style discourse has like kind of gotten out of hand, and I feel like it's gotten to the point where it's like we're just not making sense anymore. And you guys know me, like I don't really make sense. So I thought why not just throw in my 2 cents into the conversation because I feel like I have some good points about how I view personal style and the meaning of personal style. I don't know. We're just gonna get into it. I'm just gonna start talking. We'll see what happens. Let's do it. My first point is I think it is completely okay and normal to not have a personal style. Our fashion side of the internet has been pushing personal style so much. And I think for a lot of people, just having some sense of what fashion is and what style is enough for them, and that's already overwhelming. So then to take that and be like, okay, now you need to make it personal and you need to make it part of your personality is like really quite overwhelming. And for many people, I feel like just having one style or deciding to stick to one style just doesn't suit them either. And this encourages, of course, like experimentation, not only through the way they dress, but maybe other creative aspects of their life, and it can really just like fuel a certain side of them. Of course, there's an argument of like, that also encourages overconsumption, but I do think there's a balance. Buying clothes is not the worst thing one can do, and there's no need to buy clothes that are new, of course, too, which maybe not everyone understands or thinks about, but I do think you can be very fashionable and not have a personal style. And I think that's okay. I think it's totally fine to follow trends. And, like, if that's your personal style, just like following trends, then, like, do it. Like, have fun with it. It's not that serious. Different points in your life, different eras, if you will, may require you to have a different style. Your job or where you live can greatly impact your style, the people you surround yourself with. Maybe you take a trip and that greatly impacts your style. For example, say a handyman, that's his career, that's what he knows, and he dresses like he's a handyman, of course, but to be fair, he probably has better, more personal style than a fashion influencer who is just buying all the latest trends because he has lived through these clothes, not only for his job, but he probably chose the job because he felt some sort of personal connection to it. That in his style is not only functional, but the garments he wears, like reflects his career in his life. I just picture him wearing like a t-shirt and maybe like overalls that he's had for like 10 years, and like that is so personal. Those clothes have been with him through so many experiences in life, much more than the fashion influencer who's buying another thing from Jaded London. And, the handyman is probably surrounding himself with like minded individuals, maybe people who are also handyman or in that industry, whereas a fashion influencer or someone in the fashion world is, surrounding themselves with fashion people who also, you know, maybe overconsume with clothes and with a lot of things and maybe lead more luxurious lifestyles that, yes, have a lot of experiences, but they're not wearing, the same clothes over and over again. And I feel like creating a uniform, it doesn't have to be your everyday uniform, but it could just be a uniform that you have is like one of the most personal things you can do to personalize your wardrobe, if you will. And even just individuals we know, I feel like we've all witnessed someone go through a fashion change because of the group that they decide to surround themselves with. I mean, this is definitely like something that happens, I feel like, to everyone in high school and even college. People just can really affect your style. As your opinions change, your views change, your style often changes with it. I think a funny example of this is like Brad Pitt and all of the girlfriends he's had. I mean, he looks completely different and he decides to kind of like match. I mean, I think it's mostly like his hair, but it's definitely like his fashion sense too, is reflected of his girlfriend's fashion sense. And I think it's hilarious. And they're all very young, and I don't think any of them necessarily had like a crazy personal style. Also, an example of this is Bella Hadid. She was with, I don't remember his name, but her last boyfriend was much more street style. I'd say more trendy, and she definitely kind of bounced off of his style, at least in like the paparazzi photos. I'm sure she wore a lot of different outfits. But I think it's very interesting how she kind of matched his vibe. And then her current boyfriend now, who's a cowboy, she's dressing a lot more boho, more feminine, even, which is totally like the way the trend cycle is moving right now, too. And she's not always dressed like this, but she is a horseback rider, so I do think it suits her. But if I had to say, out of all four of those people, if one of them actually has a true personal style, I would say it is her cowboy boyfriend because it is actually a part of his career. He's been a cowboy for, I think, a long time, and Bella's kind of maybe like, I feel like the style she has now is just like suits her career, both horseback riding and modeling, and it just seems more personal. But it's also maybe a bit reflective of her boyfriend, which is interesting. But her boyfriend's style is actually personal because it reflects more of his experiences and his job and his career. I would say more so than I said four people. I meant three people. There's only three of them. Anyways, feel like as we see, people like Bella Hadid, who are just always in the limelight, and we can always see what they were wearing 10 years ago. I feel like that kind of brings me to my next point of that style comes with age. Um, the older you get, the better you know yourself, which reflects your style. I feel like when many people hit a certain point in life, maybe it's like their late 20s, maybe it's not till they're like middle age, you probably begin to not question or care about what you wear as much, which I think is a really good thing. And I think young people, they care so much about what they wear and how they're perceived. And I don't get me wrong, everyone does. Like my mom always talks about, like, that doesn't go away. Unfortunately, I wish it did. But I do think it gets better with age and with confidence. But having that confidence from those life experiences, um I don't know, I feel like it solidifies your style as you grow up and you know what you like more, whether that be fashion, whether that be people, your worldviews. Like, fashion relates to anything, and yeah, that's why it's so amazing. Also, for example, my parents, I feel like, have a very strong sense of personal style. I mean, they are not your average looking parents. But I love that for them, and it's definitely interesting to think about, like 10 years ago, their style was definitely different. It wasn't like completely different, but maybe like before I was born, that was pretty completely different because they were so much younger. And now I'd say the past 10 years, especially the past 5 years, they have really zoned in on what they like. They definitely know what they like. And I think that's come with like kind of a lot of aspects I've already said, the people that they decide to surround themselves with, the things that they like, new hobbies they've picked up as they've gotten older, but they still have some pieces from when I was like 10, or some pieces from even college, which I think is amazing. I think it's amazing to hold on to some things, but it's also okay to get rid of clothes, and I think that's um, a good thing. Again, can show growth and new chapters as well. I mean, it's like not always that deep, but you know what I mean. Yes, their style has changed, but I do feel like it's become more personal with age and through their individual experiences. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is that we're all scrolling on TikTok, watching these fashion bros explain what tabbies to get instead of actually going outside and creating experiences and living life and deciding what we like and don't like, again, whether that be fashion or whatever it may be, traveling and making friends with different types of people. Like, that's what my parents had growing up. um Not to say that I don't have that, but it's so different with social media, and I feel like it's really affected fashion in a lot of negative ways, a lot of positive ways too. I mean, it's been so amazing for like small businesses, but going back to personal style, we're just cloning ourselves, and we're listening to other people when I feel like we should be listening more to ourselves when it comes to personal style. Like, yes, listen to me, listen to this video, but you know what I mean. Like, we're too obsessed with trying to become cool and niche rather than just like going outside and living life and having the clothes come to us. I think a big thing we can try to do is, instead of seeking out shopping, not an activity that needs to be planned, just have it happen. Maybe you find something on this trip, maybe you see a flea market and you're like, oh, I'll stop by. I think seeking it out makes it, what you pick out, a lot less personal. Just like let yourself become more inspired through natural ways other than scrolling on social media. Like that is not natural and it's so overwhelming for our brains. Like, am I gonna stop doing it? No, probably not. But I'm gonna try to be a lot more mindful of it and to do it less and to try to be more influenced by, my mom's style, my grandma's style, her vintage clothes, um, the trips I've been on, the trips I plan to go on, maybe peers, coworkers. You can be inspired by anything, and that's what I think personal style is, deciding what you want to be inspired by and why. And I don't know if this is making sense actually. I just started talking, but those are my takes on personal style. Take everything I say lightly. It's not that serious, as always, but I think this is a fun conversation. I want it to be over maybe a little bit. Sick of the term. I feel like we need to come up with a new term for it, but then that'll be overused too, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on personal style. What can we do to stop talking about it? But yeah, thank you so much for hearing me chit chat my little heart out. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.